And we're live. Hello, everybody. Let me put another candle there. It's a beautiful night. Oh, that doesn't even look like a candle. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'll wait a couple of minutes. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you, everyone, for so far participating in the sunflower tree contest. I don't even know the height. It's a secret and it's in a vault. So your guess is as good as mine. Hey, heads up, Lori. Welcome. In this, I want to show you this. Oh, it's dark out, obviously, but what you do, this is where I was talking about the other day. And I have to buy some decorative ribbons to put around the lid. But you take a mason jar, it doesn't matter what size, and you cut the stems to size. So you see, these came very long. And you just, to eye it, you put it on the outside when you first get it. And then you just trim them down. And I use 5 of them. So one in the middle, and then the other ones surround it. And I change the water every other day. So yeah, and you can put, decorative ribbon around the lid. I tend to use, what's it called? It's not the shiny ribbon. It's, I can't think right now the name of it. Very earthy cloth type kind of ribbons. Hey, hell to the no. How are you? Nana Patty, hello. So it's quite easy. And just take a mason jar and cut the sunflowers. And again, I use 1, 2, 3, 4 on the sides, and then 1 in the center. And you can cut it any size. I just like them. I like them low to the lid. Yeah, so they're very easy. Thanks, Crazy Life. I'm the same. I'm not worse. But if by tomorrow, if I'm not getting any better, I'll go see my doctor. It's the cough that's worrisome. I just want to make sure I don't need an antibiotic. I don't think I do, but I don't want to chance it. Susie B, hello. Bitey Cat, hello. Kayla. Emily. Burlap, yes, thank you, Emily. So, but it's kind of like burlap string, thick, a little bit thicker, maybe 1/2 inch wide. But you can decorate it, the lid with any kind of ribbon. Z-Pack. Yeah, if I need it. I'm not the type, I don't like my doctor just calling something in without being seen. Not for antibiotics. Only because I don't want to build up a resistance if I don't need it. So how's everyone doing? Floor, hi honey, how are you? Yes. Happy Rosh Hashanah. Susie B. Nana Patty, sorry I missed your cooking today. I will watch the replay. I'm sure it was delicious. Yeah, I watched probably half of it. I was on the way to the lake with my daughter. And did some stretching, yoga, meditation, and then I fell asleep. I took a nap and we had lunch. It was nice. It was a little rainy, but right before sunset, the sun did come out, so it was a beautiful sunset. Hey, Steph. Pink, I found a dozen white fabric napkins, antique, beautiful condition today for $5. True story. Can we decoupage them? Can I resell them here for $100? Also found a collection. Wow, yeah, let me think about it. I don't know how to do those auctions, but I can learn. Thanks, Flora. I hope so too. So I guess I basically went to bed shortly after BBT's live last night, but I guess Mummy Ramblings went off the hook, and I guess we're getting sued again, or the threat of being suing. And I just have one thing to say: can you just please do it? And you can email me, and I'd be more than happy to give you my mailing address, because you do need an address so the constable can serve the papers, right? I just thought I'd help speed up the process a little bit. The money can go toward the lawsuit. Yeah, can do a fundraiser. Also, too, what I would like, so I have a few things planned for October for live streams. One of them, one will be going to the pet cemetery of Lizzie Borden's pets. Another one is hopefully taking a trip up to Maine during the peak foliage season, and hopefully meeting with Black Eagle and maybe your Maine girl. I need to reach out to her. Heavens to Betsy, count me in for the auction. Yeah, I can do like a parody auction, right? In fact, I saw some Halloween napkins yesterday at the craft store. Hey, Deb on the move. And so Lizzie Borden's pet's grave, a trip up to Maine and New Hampshire. And what was the third one? Shoot. Oh my God, I forgot. And it was, I think, the most important one. It'll come back to me. She's selling junk really like she can afford a lawyer. The man in the white coat and hat. I just broke your two rules. Tee-hee-hee. Tee-hee-hee-hee. That's Dr. Root's laugh. Tee-hee. Salem, yes. Although I wasn't thinking about that, but that's my fourth. Whatever the third is. Yes, of course. Salem, Massachusetts. I do that every year. I don't think I was up there. Was I up there last year? I was up there the year before. And it was nice because it wasn't crowded because of COVID. I didn't go into any stores. And they even stopped transportation, trains going in, so it wasn't that crowded. But I went to the graveyard of where the witches were hanged. So that's interesting. And I actually met 3 years ago. Was it 3 years ago? I met a YouTuber, Eric G, if you guys remember him, the OGs, and his family. And I took them to Salem. They actually stayed at a very lovely historical hotel in Salem. Yeah, Floor. I have those napkins. I use them even to blow my nose. You know who has a lot of them is Bed Bath and Beyond. If you guys have one of those stores near you. But I'm sure you can get them at the dollar store or on Amazon, a lot more less expensive. Could you go to Plymouth and pick up rocks? Oh my God, Tally, I was just thinking of Plymouth Rock today. Because I was down in that area. Um, and for anyone who's not been to Plymouth to see the rock, gotta look hard, bring your binoculars. And if the tide is up, you won't see the rock at all. So, even from Massachusetts, I used to think that Plymouth Rock must be this huge, huge rock, right? It's not. And like I said, if the tide is up, you won't even see it. It's a little rock that they used to step on it. Christopher Columbus to get off his boat onto land. It's quite the disappointment. Because when you go there and you could sometimes hear tourists and they're like, that's it? That's it? And then you hear the kids, where's the rock? Where's the rock? Salem is definitely on my bucket list. Yeah. And Callie's school trip to Plymouth Rock. Who didn't? Who didn't go on a school trip, field trip to Plymouth Rock? I thought it was big too until I saw it when I was a kid, right? Yeah, so just, if you know anyone that's going there, just you might want to just let them know ahead of time. It's not this enormous rock. Rock's less smelly than shells. It's a very little rock. And like I said, if the tide is up, when the tide comes in, you can't even see the rock. It's gone. It's underneath the water, the ocean. And sometimes you can see a little, the tip of it sticking out, but it's quite small. Yes, you can try to bring the rock home. Hey, Ladybug Toes. Y'all selling napkins in here? Did I hear napkins? Yeah, we're going to do an auction at some point. And I'm going to show you how I decoupage pine cones, okay, with toilet paper. And I will put I will put the materials ahead of time, what you need. And it's quite simple and you won't spend anything. You just need markers, which I'm sure you have in your home. Not crayons, markers. Doesn't matter what kind, felt tip, whatever. Toilet paper, and a pine cone. No glue is necessary because I think I gotta get a patent going because I think I really invented something really awesome for self-stick decoupaging on pine cones. And their pine cones are everywhere here now. They're all falling off the trees. Love the nature sounds. Yeah, crickets. Merb ripped off my oysters. I'm still some sort of way about that. Hey, Robbie, how are you? Robbie, I don't know why I just gave you your wrench back. I don't know why it was even gone. I think I had a moderator or somebody that was playing around in here. Robbie, did you read my comment under my contest video? That's what she said. Now again, I don't even know the height of the tree. Somebody else does. And it's interesting to see the comments. Like I gave Carla and friends another chance. I commented back and said, edit your comment and try again. I think she put like 6 feet. I will tell you this, it in one of the pictures, you might have missed it. My son is in it, but I just put like his baseball cap. Unless he's 2 feet 3, you know. It is a tall tree. It is a tall tree. And I know a video doesn't really do it justice, but it is a tall tree and it's almost up to my second floor window. You bought a dozen antique white napkins today for $5. Fabric napkins are so much more economical and beautiful. I have some fabric napkins stored away. They used to be popular around here, like in the 80s, 90s. The linen napkins. Bronco game just let out. Who did they play? They play the Patriots. It's the contest for measurements, is it now? Or measurements will be the 27th of Pink Lady Luck. What's the date today? It'll be, I think the contest stops Tuesday at midnight, I think. And I'm announcing it Wednesday, sunset live stream. Now, if 2 people are winners, like get the same exact measurement in one, what I'll do is, and I wish I could do another pink merch party pack, but this one's kind of pricey. What I'll do is I'll put the names in a bag and just pick. And if you're in Canada, and I forgot to mention that, you are eligible to enter. Now the contest measurement is now. Yeah, it's now. If it happens to grow, like even if it grows another foot overnight, it's what you see in the video. And I read in the Guinness book, I think the record is 30 feet. And I'm like, oh hell, I wonder if I can beat that. You don't know or care who the Broncos played. I just know that the train that I was on was extremely crowded and annoying. Do you still wear your mask, Robbie? Outside of work? Or at work? Yeah, Kayla. So I did read it's a drought plant. So it doesn't, honest to God, one of my kids just threw seeds down. And we never even watered it. And I was living at my folks' house. And a few months later, I see this. It was about maybe 10 inches tall, and we first thought it was a weed, but I'm like, no, that the stem looks a lot thicker. So, you know, and it's not like anyone who came by the house or, you know, oh, let me water your plants. No. And so a few months later I came back and it was like as tall as me, and I'm 5'7", and then one of my kids said to me, oh yeah, Crush, my son Crush, Adam, said, yeah, those are Mexican sunflower seeds. And I'm like, really? So it hasn't bloomed yet, but I read in this area where I live in, September to late October. So I hope it blooms. I hope it's not a dud. Hi, Antimony. Could you sell us the seeds, Pink? Would it be okay to name the sunflower? Yeah, we should give it a name. Robbie, you don't? You know, I'm always wearing my mask, and here I sit with COVID. You know, you would think for those 2+ years working directly with COVID patients, I would have gotten COVID, but I didn't. And being on medical leave right now, family medical, I get COVID. Yeah, right, Aunt Timony? Floor, we visited a sunflower field this summer. I couldn't believe how tall they can grow. That would be fun. I've never been to a sunflower field. I've seen pictures. I just want to run through them like naked. Okay, so back to Merb. Merb, you can email me so I can give you my address, just to make the process go a little bit quicker, because I'm really tired of hearing how we're all going to get sued and you don't do anything. And especially where the FBI has had your case or whatever you're doing for 4 years. And I have moved, and I even think the FBI might have a little difficulty finding out what my address is. And I also have more than one property. So just to avoid confusion, I'll give you my mailing address so the constable can serve me directly. Heavens to Betsy, what are my symptoms? Okay, so I got the vaccine in the booster. I've received the vaccine in one booster. Or was it 2? No, 1 booster. I don't know. My symptoms started with stuffy nose and body aches. So I received the flu shot on September 16th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon at CVS. I was perfectly fine. That was Friday late afternoon. By Saturday late afternoon, I started feeling like I was getting a cold. No fever, no sore throat, no cough at that point. So I figured it was from the flu vaccine, just some side effects. And I didn't test, and I was around my dad. And I feel horror. He's fine. He's testing negative so far. And all this time during COVID, I've been so diligent about getting tested, and I feel horrible. So the symptoms didn't go away. So Tuesday I tested at home because I'm like, this is too long for a flu vaccine side effects, and it came back positive. And then I took the PCR test on a few days ago. And my doctor called, and yeah, he put me on the antiviral. But my the antiviral you're supposed to take within 5 days of symptoms. No more than 5 days, and my symptoms have been longer than 5 days. But he said to me, well, we're going to go by the date that you tested through the lab. So either it's not going to work, it's too late for the antiviral, it's not going to hurt me. You got a Z-Pack and it knocked it out. Laurie, our friend has COVID 4 shots. It's crazy. Yeah, so look at it this way. Without the shots, it definitely minimizes your symptoms. So it could be a lot worse if I wasn't vaccinated. So that's how I look at it. And then I developed a chest cough. And I just started taking Mucinex. I was taking Vicks. Not Vicks. Was it Vicks? Dayquil. But because I'm on the antiviral and all the medicine in the Dayquil, I don't want to mess with that. So I'm just going to take the Mucinex. Thank you. But my appetite is great. I can taste food. Um, okay. So I guess Merb last night threw just about everybody under the bus. And, I just got one thing to say about that. Um, I truly believe that she has some narcissistic traits. Okay, I'm not diagnosing, it's just my opinion. And what happens is when a narcissist, the big thing is they want control, right? And you don't feed them, you don't give them attention, right? That's what they say when you want to get away from a narcissist. Don't respond to them, don't react. And when that happens, like for example, the ex-ramblers who go live and don't talk about her anymore, they want to move forward, right? They're not, and not that they're purposely avoid, oh, we're not going to talk. They really don't. But the fact that she's being avoided and not talked about, so the next step a narcissist does is, because you took away their power, they are going to talk about you to make you look like you're not a good person. Okay, because they finally realized there's nothing I can do to reel them in. So let me talk about their character, and make them look or appear to be horrible people. And that's very typical of a narcissist. So, histrionic, narc, and antisocial, just in my opinion. Pussycat says she's looking unhealthy to me. I've said it for a long time. That's stress. Absolutely, that's stress. It's going to catch up with anybody. Anybody. You know. And if you were to take a lab, like say a phlebotomist came into her house and said, I need to take your labs, right? When someone is that angry, okay, it is proven you will see definite lab changes in a person when they're angry. And so it is absolutely proven that stress does harm our bodies physically, causing strokes, heart problems, mental health problems. You may see the wear and tear physically on someone's face, but it's doing more damage inside their bodies. I told you to get GoFundMe, we're all sewer. Class action lawsuit. Well, sometimes, even the DA, if the DA takes the case, then you don't have to pay for anything. She looks like hell warmed over. So now she's going to go around and start talking about everyone's character and bring up anything she can. Anything. Fabricate it, distort it. And of course, she has a group of people that in chat that just sit there or go up on panel and just with her words only, oh wow, yeah, right, yeah, I see that, oh really, oh, I'm going to kind of go over a little bit of my smear campaign that I had 3 years ago with Being There. I'm not going to get into too many details about it. I will say that people have tried to bring it up. It's kind of resurrected after 3 years. And honestly, and I say this from my heart, this does not affect me. Okay? 3 years ago it did, because it was a betrayal of a friendship. I had someone donate money to me um, as a gift, and it was turned around, and there were other people participating in this smear campaign, and it happened on true crime creator Coffee and CC. I don't even know what her name is now anymore on YouTube. Um, Coffee with CC, something like that. Who was a friend of mine at the time. And being there didn't have any proof. And once it was just came out as I donated money to Pink, it was like, yeah, okay, and what? And other people started stepping forward and saying, she donated money to me too. And I'm talking, I got a total of, I think it was $3,200 over a period of 3 months. Other people received over $10,000. Other people received a car. I mean, so some people came forward and be like, so what? She gave me money as well. And that's when it twisted. To, oh, well, it was through deception, because she said to me if I didn't give her money that I would take a weapon and end my life. So that's what it twisted into. And because she was chronically ill, I was doing this to a terminally ill person. And but it was a betrayal, because being there and I were friends for a very long time. She was in my live stream the night before. We were all having fun, and this came out of nowhere. And later on, I did receive an email from someone who wanted to remain anonymous because she was scared and wanted to be protected, that there was another YouTuber who, that third wheel, let's fuck Pink up. Those were her exact words to being there. And so that was really blown out of proport, that whole thing. And it honestly, it was the betrayal of what being there did to me. So, and it was this, oh, you took money from a dying woman. You took money from a dying woman. No, I didn't. And it was the same vinegar with her, with other YouTubers that she donated to. It was a gift. She didn't want it back. I even consulted with my attorney. And at that time, I got laid off from my job. So she also twisted it, thinking, that I was begging for money and I had all these problems. And that's just not my character. She didn't even know most of the issues that we all have in life, because she was sick and I didn't want to burden her with my problems. And at that time, my son Adam was struggling in active addiction, I think. And I never even shared that with her, nor did I share it on YouTube at that time, that he was struggling with substance use. And so what happened was she basically started harassing me online and in my real life, and threatened that she was hiring, not threatening like, I'm thinking about, she said, I've hired a hitman to murder Pink. And there was no outrage. By anybody. Because she was a woman who was dying. So apparently she could say whatever she wanted to, and that was okay. Even to say that she's hired a hitman to murder me. I obtained the proof of what she said, I went to my local police in Boston. They kind of just told me log off of YouTube. Um, they weren't taking it seriously. And so I let it go for a while, and then 2 weeks later, or a week later, I was in a parking lot of a store, and this woman, crazed woman, started running up toward me out of her car, and all I could think of was that my life is about to end because you don't know what people are capable of. And being there was really, it was, she did this to a lot of people as far as bullied them. She hated Laura, was diagnosing Laura as this and that. And I wouldn't put it past being there that she even called CPS on Laura. But anyway, that's how vengeful she was. And so that woman just stood in her tracks looking at me, and I was outside of my car and thinking that I'm about to be murdered. And she reached in her pocket, and I froze. And she pulled out a business card to a church that was well over an hour from me, and I don't even belong to a church, nor do I practice the religion of whatever denomination this church was. And she just looked at me and she goes, I don't know why I just ran up to you, but I think God brought me here. And at that point, I got in my car and I sat there, and she got in her car and she sat there. And I was waiting for her to leave, and she wouldn't leave. 20 minutes later, I pull out, then she pulls out and starts following me. So I drove right to the police station. I didn't call 911. The police station wasn't that far. I drove right to the police station, and when I turned in to go into the parking lot of the police station, she kept driving. And that's when I started living in fear. And that's when I reached out to the FBI. She put my kids through fear. So the FBI, it's like my heart is skipping just thinking about this again. Because she's from another country, Australia, Homeland Security got involved. She was charged. And I'm not going to get into details of this because it's very painful, and I don't want to incriminate myself, even though she's passed away. But you just don't know. You just don't know if the family, wanted to turn around or whatever. She passed away before she had to go to court. So legally, she's not guilty of anything. And she did not die of her disease. So people can go out there and twist the truth all they want. That doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect me. Again, it was the betrayal. But here's a woman who threatened that she hired someone to murder me. And they're still going with the narrative. I took money from a dying woman. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, voices. Yeah, I got blamed for her going to a nursing home, which she never went into. That video she showed of her so-called nursing home was a spa. And the staff had on mini skirts, frayed mini skirts. I mean, anyone who believed that ought to get their head examined. She was very deceptive, and she was also very ill. mentally, and fooled a lot of people. And I always thought I was someone that could see the red flags ahead of time. She she was good. She was really good at her craft, so to say. And she would tell people for 4 years, 3 years, that she was dying in 6 weeks, dying in 6 months. So she used her illness to weaponize people. So when people get mad on YouTube, you know, at me, that's what they tend to want to bring up. Which, and again, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me, because I always knew the truth from day one, and I showed proof. And being there could never show anything. And again, it was just her words, and people would be like, no matter what she said, being there thought my kids were really little. That's how little she knew of me. My kids are grown. She came up with these things that I was chronically depressed, which I don't suffer from depression at all. So, words can get out of hand. But it went, there's nothing anyone can do to me on YouTube with this story that could ever affect me as much as she affected me with the threat of a hitman. So if they think they're hurting me and bringing up something from 3 years ago is going to, make me look like this horrible person, go for it. Go for it. It doesn't bother me. If I get messages, oh, Pink, they're talking about you. Oh, Pink, they're bringing up your smear campaign. Honestly, I don't care. I don't care. Thank you, lady. It took a while. It took a while. That incident of that woman running up to me was traumatizing. And it put especially my daughter through a lot of hell. Imagine, thinking that someone's out to murder your mother. And people can say, well, she would never do that. Or how do you know? How do you know what people are capable of or not? And obviously, she was charged. So are you going to say the FBI, was full of crap? That Homeland Security was full of crap? Thanks, Tracy. And she played the same game with another YouTuber. Days before the smear campaign, wanting me to move to Australia, would pay me to take care of her. Or we could make a video in this high-end store of a very expensive bag, high-end name bag that was a couple of $1,000s, and made the video toward another YouTuber saying, I'm going to buy this for her. And then being there would call me and say, did you see that video I made for so-and-so with the bag, the Louis Vuitton bag? And honestly, I didn't. And she goes, well, please go look at it and tell me what you think. So I went to look at it, and I said to her, it's a lovely bag. The scarf, I'm not a scarf girl around pocket, bags, but it's very generous that you did that for another person. And I meant it. And her intent was, she was never going to buy that bag. She made it to try to make me jealous that she was buying this high-end bag for another YouTuber. And it totally backfired on her. Like, why are you doing this? Like, I don't get it. But the same shtick with wanting me to move to Australia, saying the same thing to another YouTuber. Gonna pay us exactly the now. Neither the other YouTuber or I knew each other. Okay, we didn't. I didn't visit her page. I didn't know her until she came forward and said she had money donated, and a couple of other people came forward as well. So she was playing the same lies, the same game to another YouTuber. And that YouTuber lost her job, had her job called on her, went through a lot more than I did. A lot more than I did. So, I guess it was brought to my attention that one Merb or one of her ramblers went over to that Ian Lee guy's page and put my whole story of how I took from a dying woman. And honestly, it doesn't affect me. I don't know how to make it any more clearer. It doesn't affect me. That clip channel that Merb created from snowplow removal, who is the name of the person that most likely created that channel, it doesn't affect me. I don't even watch your videos. So, words are words, and once you show your actions, Merb, maybe people will listen, but you've showed no proof with anything. With anything. You were a lunatic last night, an absolute lunatic. And again, a narcissist, when they lose their power and they realize they're not going to take your power back from you, they will start destroying your character. And that's exactly what Carolyn is doing. She's not just me, she's talking about everybody. Everybody. Throwing everyone under the bus. And I don't know where Jimmy is, if he's MIA, or if her children are still there. But what the hell? What the hell? How can you let your wife be this out of control? And she's incriminating herself over and over and over. So when someone says they're going to sue, okay, she talks too much. If she had a lawyer, her lawyer would have told her to shut up. So this is all fabricated. And it's a scare tactic. And for what she wants to sue people for, she would need at least $1 million. At least $1 million for all the people she wants to sue. Where is she going to come up with all this money? So it's a scare tactic. Susan, I watched a little bit of it today, and it just turned into blah, blah, blah. It's actually, at some parts, I found it entertaining. And then at some parts, I found it like, wow, like, she really needs help. Or she really needs to log off. And the fact that she has children blows my mind. That, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm muffled? Oh no. Shoot. Alright, let me try this again. Maybe I was covering the mic. Am I muffled now? Okay. Sorry about that. My thumb must have covered the mic. She personally knows the caseworker for CPS. And that's the thing. Every time someone, if you get CPS called on you, it's automatically, someone they think they know who it is, and they point the finger. And look at, it's common sense. Gather your facts before you start assuming who you think you know it is. Okay? Because when you do that, you're also putting that person in danger by wrongfully accusing them. Okay? And I've said it before, it could be someone we don't even know if it happened. Okay? I I don't see any proof that it happened. What did she do? She showed a sheet with a name, like, what is this? But we always think, oh, must be someone in our community. And it could be anybody. It could be some person we don't know who's just as angry, but he takes or she takes her anger to a higher level. And it's unfair to go around and pointing the fingers at people unless you have absolute proof who called CPS or who made a call for a SWAT call. That in itself is defamation and slander. And you're putting that person in danger because somebody who may like Merb might turn around and say, wow, you called CPS, now I'm going to go real life on you. You see what I mean? I'm not sure, Rosie. I'm not even sure if CPS even came to our house. I mean, I'm a fact finder. Show me the proof. Everyone else has. Everyone on YouTube who's had CPS or DCF, whatever you call it in your district, has shown something. But Merv doesn't have to. Her words are enough. Her words are enough. No matter what she says, without proof, her subscribers believe it. Oh, Jamie, you were accused of being a lesbian? That in itself, just to hear that, is pretty homophobic. That's like, me saying to you, Jamie, or telling people, Jamie's a female. Well, yeah. So if she were a lesbian, or any of us were, what does that matter? What does it matter? Does Marb have something against homosexuals? Obviously. Why would she bring it up? She hypnotizes them. Well, hypnotism is against Christianity. It's demonic. Does she do tarot cards? Because the same thing. If you say you're a Christian and you do tarot cards, you're not a Christian. Because it's only God that knows all. It's only God. It's raining out. That's her certification. So, I don't even know to what extent Merv, even as far as speaking about me, and I don't care. Like I said, nobody could hurt me more than what I went through with someone saying they've hired a hitman to murder me. And the reason why y'all didn't hear it online from my mouth is because, and I've said it before, if you're going to press charges against somebody or sue them, you shut up. You don't bring it to the public where you're at risk of incriminating yourself, you're at risk of interfering with an investigation, and bringing it up on YouTube would have just caused more of a stir and more divide. And I always like the element of surprise. And I will say this again. Being there did not die of her disease. Okay? And if anyone out there wants to take a deep dive into Australia, do it. Do it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Amy, I have money to spend. I will put up big bucks for someone to sue her. Well, BBT, Boston, does have an attorney, and I can attest to that. I can attest to that. BBT and I have met. We know each other. We're from the same area. You don't pry into a custody case that in someone's private life. For what reason? For what reason would you even bring it up? As Merv did. You see, she talks too much. She incriminates herself too much. So if she were to sue, and I've said this before, it would be like the Depp trial. Not like it, like the same details, but the process of it, that Merv will be subject to cross-examination, okay? It's not just one-sided, and you did this and you did that, and that was wrong. She would have to go through cross-examination. And then her skeletons, or not, will be out there, and then it will extend to her husband. And because her children have been witnesses to so much of this chaos online, you know, unfortunately, children are often brought into these cases as well as witnesses. So, you know, it's not just simple, I'm going to sue you and take you down and you'll see, and, you know. The issue with BBT and her custody, is this something recent that Merv has brought up again? Yes, it is. No, it's recent. Yep. And look at, for the FBI to take 4 years, when the FBI took my case, it took less than a month. Okay? And this was a murder for hire. Less than a month. There is no FBI. There is no open case. They're pretty close to solving the Delphi murder cases, okay? And that's been 5 years. That's been 5 years. Nobody was murdered here. And she's gonna tell us that the FBI's had an open case for 4 years. Yeah, Rosie, that's, so what? You know? It doesn't prove anything. She needs to stop. She just needs to stop. And I don't know what Jimmy's problem is. Does he not see implications to this by her just going off the wall like this and throwing so many people under the bus. But it's all in her presentation, and it sucks. It sucks. But she's got her subscribers, well, new ones now, who lift her up and give her the accolades, give her the attention, right? Yes, oh, we believe you. Yeah, not one bit of proof. Yeah, we believe you. Even though, like on Randy's channel, it's Randy's Life, absolute proof that she said she was promoting that water park. Absolute proof was shown. And then proofs of her saying, I never said I was promoting that water park. Even though the proof is there in black and white, she won't admit it. She will never, ever admit to her faults. And that's what narcissism is. One of the traits. Never. Never. She could get caught with her hand in a cookie jar. Could be on videotape. She could have crumbs all around her mouth, melted chocolate in the palms of her hand, and she will still sit there and say, it wasn't me. The water park will have to give a deposition at the least. And, you know, people have said to her, the water park is a private facility. It is. Nope. Nope. It's public. It's like she's trying to convince herself that she's correct. And it's okay to be wrong. You know, we all make mistakes. But not her. Nope. I had every right to videotape. That's stupid, you know, that. And what she'll do and go through just to keep those videos up is just insane. Absolute insane. Knowing all these children, half clothed, are on there. And like I said, you know, this is a predator's dream. They don't necessarily need a minor child in their physical possession to create, you know, videotapes and all that dark web stuff. They use facial recognition, body recognition. They just the thoughts of it. You know, nobody at the water park was notified that they'll be filming today and that your child may or may not be in this film and that we need permission, or, you know, that's what would have happened. Right, Jenny? Yeah. When my kids were in school, we got it every year. At the beginning of the year, all that paperwork we had to fill out, they would ask, are you willing, you know, if there's videotaping, they separated photographs and videotaping. So you had to sign for both or not sign. So if you didn't want your child in a videotape, you would sign. And then photography was separate, the same thing. If you didn't want your child in photos for display, you would have to sign. Your privacy docs are pages long. The worst thing she fears is to be forgotten. Wow, Kayla. Well, forgotten. She certainly will be remembered. She doesn't have to worry about that. She'll certainly be remembered. She'll be remembered for what we want to forget her by. Happiness is the best anyway. Kayla, it's worth it just to grow as people and appreciate life in another. Well said. She accused us of some of us trying to get in touch with the families of the children at the water park by using facial recognition. What? She just went on in a very manic state. That's manic. That's paranoia. And again, if you're going to accuse somebody, you have to have proof. So, and I've explained it before, right? But the thoughts in the head, and I've explained it so many times, so I apologize for those of you who've heard it a million times. But we all have those thoughts that come into our minds, right? About ourselves, about other people. Some thoughts are good, some are bad, some are terrifying. Some are of paranoia. But that doesn't define who we are, and thoughts aren't the truth. They're just thoughts. So some people take all those thoughts as if they're the truth, and they put it out there. It's that keyboard warrior in the brain. They don't know how to differentiate between, what is true, what is not true, and they put it all out there. Okay? And that's what I believe she does. Every thought that comes in her head, as absurd as some of her thoughts are, she puts it out there and doesn't think that she needs proof. Thoughts can be absurd, right? Thoughts can be absurd. And that's why we hear her say things that are so absurd, because those are what she's thinking. But it doesn't make it correct. Denise, you would think so morally, but that there's something going on deep that I certainly am not qualified to even speculate on what it is or why people do that. My thoughts were, I know with narcissism or psychopathy, a lot of it with people can be triggered by childhood events, traumas. She'd often talk about, refers back to her school days when she was little, her animosity toward the romper room lady because they got rid of snack time on their television program. They were condensing their time. Or maybe whatever, they were condensing their time. And she's what, almost 60 years old, and she still talks about the romper room lady in this desire to want to find her. As revenge of some sort for getting rid of snack time. That to me, that to me is, I don't have the words. I really thought Two Scooters was her husband and Jimmy was her father. How dare they get rid of snack time? Jenny has a bit more theory, but not going there. She's alluded to it without realizing it. Peter North, an old adult film star. Oh, do we know each other? Just kidding. Well, welcome. And the only person she is hurting is herself. She's trying to put fear into people, and I'm not scared. I'm not scared of what? Of what? Her words? And if she were to follow through with a lawsuit, I'll be the first one there. It must be exhausting to be Merv. I would think so, and she looks exhausted. She does. And there's nothing more frustrating than saying, look at, nobody wants to take your channel down. In fact, just do better. Do better. We all can, right? Do better. And she can't. And that's frustrating. But I also heard, if you listen to Diane's channel a few times, she had HG Tudor up on her panel as a guest, and he's a self-proclaimed narcissist. And I will never forget the most recent interview she had with him. I don't know if he proposed the scenario or if it was a guest, but they were talking about if you were to see an elderly woman, for example, fall in the middle of the street and she was injured and there was blood, you know, you would run over to her to help assist her, whether that's calling 911 or, you know, help putting pressure on the wound to stop the bleeding. And he said, no, I wouldn't. And I think everyone's jaw dropped. And he explained, he just simply said, I don't have that part of me in my brain. Or something, I'm paraphrasing. Well, empathy, like it doesn't exist. It's almost, and I took it as, is there literally a piece of his brain that was never developed? So, and I do know that some people are born, can be born a narcissist, a psychopath, and that where those people that they're predisposed to it. So saying, you know, an event in a childhood or something could trigger it. But if it's not there, if it's just not there, then there's nothing to even trigger that, you know. It's fascinating but terrifying at the same time. Somebody asked him, are you capable of loving anybody? And he said no. He's like, no. So what he doesn't have, he doesn't miss, you know? And we're all sitting there like, oh my God. And he's just like nonchalantly, nope, I don't love anybody. Don't know what it is. Don't feel it. Don't care. Because it doesn't exist to him. Right, heavens to Betsy. They have chose not to use that part, but he's saying that part doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It's like buying a car and you find out the carburetor isn't there. It's not, you know, it's not going to run. You know, so it's not even a matter of choice. You just said it's not there. It doesn't exist. Incomplete, yeah. So it's hard for us to imagine anybody can lack that much empathy for another human being. And all I can think of is, he's right, it just must not exist. Because isn't that human nature that we care about something? An injured animal. He said the same thing with the injured animal. He wouldn't help it. You know, it's human nature. So to me, I believe that in situations like psychopathy and narcissism, you know, or BDH, borderline personality disorder, that there's just something that's, the mechanism is not there. It's just not there. Because if it were there, then couldn't psychiatrists or people help that person find it, you know, get it to start working, and there's no cure for it. You can only maintain. There's no cure for narcissism, BPD, psychopathy. They can only manage the symptoms through like medication or behavior modification. Kayla, you're right. It is sad. And I think that was brought up to him as well. People felt bad. And he's like, don't. Don't. No, they don't want it to work. They view themselves as superior. Very genetic. Yeah. Hi, Micah. How does she know so much of what is said? It baffles me. You know, anybody can talk. Anybody can talk the talk. It's almost like when it's like her. It's like putting the cart before the horse. It's almost like her mouth is going a mile a minute. And I don't know what's coming first, the tongue or her brain. You know, there's no boundaries, there's no filters, there's no reset button. And she's getting rewarded for these behaviors. And that's the danger of social media, especially with kids and developing brains, is and we see lots of people come on and they're absolutely atrocious, and you know, there's always a bunch of people in the chat like, you're awesome, you're so great. Look at, I don't know Mrs. Portland that well, but I did see a clip video of her saying to a parent, you know, I'm glad your child is dead, that's what you deserved. And yet there's always people there who will support her. And using mental illness as an excuse, which it should never be used as an excuse for bad behavior. But there's always somebody to lift them up, and, you know, for their bad behavior, and saying, you're awesome. You're just awesome. Or, you know, let's do a fundraiser for somebody, you know, which I won't mention names, but it was a fundraiser for somebody that I was like, are you kidding? And yeah, let's just put everything aside. So again, we're rewarding somebody for their bad behavior because, you know, they need, you know, money for a medical bill. Okay? But it's okay, you know, let them hurt somebody or go real life on someone, or, you know, but that's okay. We're gonna help them out. So you've got the reward for the positive behavior. It's insane, absolutely insane. She has lifetime passes to the water park, but before